Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got a great one lined up for you today. Russia banking liquidity shortage. Is Russia going to return to the gold standard? Well, we're going to take a look at that. And how about BRICS? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa Coalition, and the XRP Ledger. We're going to take a look at that today, too. How about Polysign? How about 200 clients and what they're doing for them? We're going to hear directly from Jack McLeod and Jerome Powell from the Federal Reserve as well. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at Dig Perspectives, not this anymore up top. So it's at Dig Perspectives, D-I-G Perspectives, no spaces. Take a look this morning. We're $1.920 trillion market cap, ladies and gentlemen. It is March 3rd, 2022. Good morning. We are up 0.09% for the crypto market cap. Bitcoin right now, 43,700. 23% move on the 7-day. Ethereum still at 2,900, wants to be 3,000, 21 plus on the 7-day as well. XRP 77 cents, we're up 20% on the 7-day. Take a look at the range of price right here. 76 cents on the low end and 79 cents on the top. We'll keep an eye on it. With all the uncertainty out here, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you without a doubt, I have been buying gold with Glint, and you can get a debit card to spend it. And by the way, you can also take physical delivery of that gold if you so choose. So know that. And also know this, it is allocated to you even when you buy it on your app and have it on your card. You are not buying paper gold. You are buying real physical gold that is allocated to you for which you can take delivery of. So this is exciting. And with all the uncertainty out here in this world, I'm glad to have it. I'll put a link in the video below. Okay, let's take a look at this because it's the former U.S. Treasury Secretary. It is Steve Mnuchin talking about the obvious first off-ramp to get this war over with is a ceasefire. But listen right here very quickly before we move forward.
When you think, you've met with Putin before, so when you think about what motivates him, and you also may think about an off-ramp at this point. Mohammed Al-Arian was talking about what does the off-ramp look like? And he said it's very hard to see what that off-ramp looks like. To the extent that you can imagine an off-ramp to this situation that we're in now, not what we could have done, but what we can do, what does it look like?
Well, I had the opportunity to meet Putin several times at the G20s with President Trump. Again, I would just say from my interaction, I never expected this was an outcome that we'd end up with. I think many of us could envision what the off-ramp was beforehand. The off-ramp obviously starts with a ceasefire. So the first thing we need is we need these talks and we need pressure to lead to a ceasefire.
That's absolutely 100% right, and praying for peace, no doubt about it. But take a look at this, because with the sanctions going on against Russia, there are workarounds that are falling into place right now. We're going to discuss some of those. India to bypass sanctions by allowing the rupee-ruble trade from local media is said here. So check this out. Russia bank's liquidity shortage widens to 7 trillion rubles, central bank says. So they're taking huge damage here. Now, we know Russia has been acquiring quite a bit of gold, possibly to offset what they knew they were going to do. Maybe so. Take a look at this. Raoul Pal, macroeconomist here, big fan of Raoul. He says, I'm struggling to see how we're going to avoid a global recession. The odds are rising every day. Not a certainty yet, but close. And I certainly concur with this. And I think we will, honestly, not that I am happy about it. Doesn't bring me any pleasure to say so. Believe we will see some kind of global recession. It's just, to me, it's unavoidable. But we'll see. But we got more information to look at. Federal Reserve Jerome Powell, chairman, has called for congressional action against crypto regulation. So it's urging Congress to act. Somebody, I think it was Jesse right here, get Jurassic Park working, make it happen. Well, it's a funny comment, but it's not funny. But it's funny, Jesse. It's still, Jesse, that's funny. So, Federal Reserve Chairman says there's room for multiple reserve currencies. What are we talking about here? We're talking about the US dollar not being the sole global reserve currency anymore? What is this guy, a crypto YouTuber? Listen to him say it. Don't listen to me say it. Listen to him say it. And shout out to Latang for this video.
We do benefit from being the reserve currency for the main reserve currency for the world. And that really is because we have open capital accounts and the rule of law, and we have inflation, over a long period of time under control, so that the dollar preserves its value.
Very quickly, notice how he is clutching his own arms. I find it to be incredible body language.
And so our markets are the most liquid, and it's the place where people want to be. Over time, the question is, if some want to move away from the dollar, what will be the effect on us? I don't think it's something you would feel right away. Over time, they would have to create an economic ecosystem whereby another currency becomes, a better currency for them to use. What we can do is we can make the dollar the most attractive currency by continuing to have the rule of law and open capital accounts and make it an attractive place for people to invest and to use in their businesses. There wouldn't be any short-term effect of that. Over time, though, it would I suppose it would diminish our status as the reserve currency. It's also possible to have more than one large reserve currency, and there have been times when that was the case, and so it's not really clear.
It's not really clear to the chairman of the Federal Reserve. But there have been times. Yes, there have been times. And I tell you, we're going to see some more evidence that those times may be upon us. Central Bank of Russia launches SWIFT replacement with 399 users. Now, I've been covering this, that Russia has a new payment system within their country that they've had for quite a few years. But stay with me here. You're going to see some new information about all of this. Russia decided to counter SWIFT sanctions with its SPFS following its SWIFT ban due to its invasion of Ukraine. The financial messaging transfer system of the Bank of Russia, SPFS, which already has over 399 users, will now become the International Payment Settlement Network. But who do you get to use it? Well, let's keep with this. Let's stay with this. This is said, now this is all in Russian, said in this clip that I'm going to play you. But it is said that this clip is saying that Russia will implement the gold standard. PM advises foreign businesses that competitors will take their place. The government will abolish the VAT tax on bullion. This bill will go to the State Duma on March 4th going forward. Now, I don't speak Russian, so anybody who does and can help us really verify this, but if this is accurate, and I don't know that it is, but if this is accurate, we could be seeing a huge power move to really prop up Russia to get their currency back to a gold standard here, and that's going to lead to much bigger things here. Now, this is for anybody who speaks Russian.
Поддержало решение по отмене НДС на драгоценные металлы для граждан с 1 марта. Соответствующий законопроект планируется к рассмотрению Государственной Думой уже 4 марта. При приобретении золотого слитка в банке не нужно будет уплачивать налог на добавленную стоимость в размере 20%, как это сейчас предусмотрено действующим законодательством. Такие вложения могут стать хорошей альтернативой покупке валюты.
And there you have it. For anybody that speaks Russian, help us verify that clip. And shout out to Jay for sharing it with everybody. See if that happens. But so let's talk about this. Because if all of that is accurate, look, and the Russia using the payment infrastructure, the new system to work around was a domestic system in Russia now being converted and used for international financial system for theirself and whoever wants to deal with them. That is real. That's happening. That much we know is a fact. So take a look at this. because we also know about the BRICS Coalition, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, coalition they have. And some have told us since this conflict has broke out between Russia that we're not allowed to talk about BRICS and XRP adoption because of the Russia-Ukraine war. It's in bad taste, they say. Well, I want to know this. Is it okay if BRICS countries talk about it? Because if not, you may want to send them an arrogant, indignant Twitter post too. Because that's exactly what's going on here. Credit to Matthew Liney for this. And I provide the source and the PDF and everything below as well. But take a look at this because there's a couple things to get from this. One, BRICS' goal of de-risking trade settlements in national currency. And funds needed to execute contract can be temporarily pre-stored in a linked virtual escrow account. They're talking about smart contracts here. And then they go on to say, like account associated with the contract to guarantee fund availability at the time of execution, parentheses, XRPLedger 2020. It goes on to describe the process. And then down here, trade finance systems based on smart contracts currently allow to reduce cost by an average of 35% and eliminate 1 to 2 weeks of settlement processing time, as well as eliminate possibility of manual errors. Oh, we're not done. We're not done. No, we're not. Here's the actual link in the thread below. And get this part. BRICS Coalition recognizes Ethereum gas fees are too high. They're building APIs to offload from the Ethereum network. Don't believe it. It's still true. That's right. I wasn't ignoring the fact that they showed Ethereum right here in this spot, because we're going to get to the news now. Now, here comes the news on that, because they've got it figured out. APIs for an intra-BRICS payment system. It says here, think about this as well. R3, Marco Polo uses enterprise blockchain, Hyperledger Fabric, and Corda. BRICS may be interested in either adapting these existing platforms or developing its own. There is, however, an inherent issue of token fees, which in Ethereum are known as gas fees, to compensate for the cost of energy to use to facilitate transactions, with the Ethereum native token Ether constantly growing in price and Ethereum 2.0 not bringing a viable solution to increasing gas fees. Know what you hold out here. Now, we've been saying, is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, what are they, YouTubers now? XRP maxis? Or are they just smart? Currently, right now, third-party APIs are being developed to offload transaction processing off of the Ethereum mainnet network. Come on in. Yeah, that's what we're talking about here. And there's the gas fees. $3.72 to $40 and change on the low side. I've seen it in the hundreds of dollars. As opposed to right here, fractions of a penny. You have to wonder if they are moving to some kind of a gold standard, if they are moving to fire up the BRICS Coalition network new financial system for which is built. That we have covered here. This isn't like, well, we're thinking about putting it together. It's built. If they begin to start using it, will it look something like what Jim Rickards talked about back in, I think, 2018 here?
Put the gold on the pallet, fly it in a plane to the other guy, and he puts it in his vault, end of story. And you know, Steve knows better than anyone, when you do things on net instead of gross, it's a much smaller transaction. If you had to pay for everything with gross gold, that's unwieldy. But if you keep score in crypto and then settle up on net, every 6 months or so, that works fine. Now notice, everything I just said, there's no dollar. And that was Doug's point. Are we looking at the dethroning of the dollar? If we've got gold, Putin's crypto, Xi crypto, a distributed ledger, and a large trading network that does not involve dollars, does not involve SWIFT, is that the beginning of the end of the dollar? And it might be.
And it might be, right? And I mean, we just heard Jerome Powell yesterday talk about there could be more than one reserve currency if countries start to move away from it. If that clip is right about the PM talking about Russia going to a gold-backed currency, that is even more credence to things moving in that direction. And I believe XRP could play the role in settling all of it back in. Again, this is a reminder from Augustin Carstens, the big guy at B.I.S., talking about the power of CBDCs, because we can control knowing what you did with the money, and we can take it back if we need to.
On CBDC, in particular for the use of general use, we tend to establish the equivalence with cash, and there is a huge difference there. For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also, we will have the technology to enforce that. On CBDC in particular.
And there you have it right there. Sorry for the phone ringing. The bat phone was going off. But you see, he's like, there's a huge difference between the paper $100 bill and the $1,000 peso. We don't know who's got it. We don't know what they did with it. And we can't program it, right? But something has to bridge all of these different things when they actually become real products released in the wholesale back end or retail front end, period, full stop. Because if you don't use a bridge token to settle these things, all you've done is digitize the friction problem of the paper world. That's all you've done. Now take a look at this. A great interview from Jack McLeod here from Fortune Teller Podcast. Jack McLeod from Polysign here, talking about serving over 200 institutional clients, and at the end tells you about the real task of what Polysign is doing for those 200 clients, and it's core custody and settlement services. You know who else does that? The DTCC, baby. That's who else does that. And we're going to talk about that in a second, but right now you need to listen to this. And a nice little reminder in here about how Ripple is one of the very few on a short list that actually holds a BIT license.
Absolutely. And there's less than 10 BIT licenses issued. I think it's a very small number.
It's a very small number, and some of them are just for trading, and some of them are for other types of payments. For example, I believe PayPal has one, Ripple has one, and some exchanges have one as well. But it's
KYC checks, the regulation that needs to be in check for them. Will you guys be able to offer them access to these different types of financial instruments in the crypto space?
Absolutely. That's very much a key part of our development roadmap. Understanding where the puck is going to go, as the proverbial analogy works. And given our experience with institutions, given our partnership with Cowen, who recently led our Series B round this summer, we've been meeting literally close to 200 of their institutional clients that range from crypto curious to already investing actively in the space and understanding what their needs are. We have certain limitations of what we can do as a trust company, given our license, and that will evolve. We can apply for more services. But our view is that we want to service our clients holistically. We want to allow them to service the assets that they own holistically. And so what that will mean for us is continual development of our own products and services, but also importantly, partnering with other best-in-class providers to complement our core custody and settlement services.
Core custody and settlement services. You know who else does core custody and settlement services? It's the DTCC. And listen what this gentleman talks about how much they settled back in 2015.
Flip that question around a little bit now and kind of dive deep into the financial plumbing of securities clearing and settlement. $1.6 quadrillion of opportunity, and that's how much DTCC clears annually.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I tell you what, we don't know what's going on, but I tell you what, I think you know what I think is going on. We are watching the new financial system roll out before our eyes. There's no question about it. That's going to do it for me. Hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment below, and share with somebody you know. I'll catch all of you on the next one.